Hoose, The Last Village by James E.M. Rowlands. Episode 5. In the space of 2.5 days, a small, unimportant fishing village of barely 200 souls has found itself cast adrift into what was the Irish Sea, following a calamitous seismic event. All other land in their vicinity has disappeared. Immediately prior to this, Dick Bevan and John Armitage had gone out fishing as usual. It was, after all, their profession. They were lost and alone at sea, only able to bear witness to the desolation around them. They have survived 2 sunsets with neither food nor much water, in a small boat filled with a rotting, once miraculous catch, and have just now seen their home port swing into view. Dick Bevan, suddenly stimulated from his maudlin lethargy, is standing come kneeling in the god-awful fishy mess upon his darling boat. He has seen land now too, but his delight turns to dismay at the information his eyes are currently transmitting for his brain to process. He recognizes Hoose, naturally, but has never seen it as it is now. Imagine an elephant's trunk without the rest of the pachyderm, wings with no bird, eyes but no head. The people of Hoose marvelled until so recently across at how beautiful Wales was, while those on that other side could only really see Hoose blinking back at them, of little interest. The irony of continuity. Nature cares not a dot for aesthetics. Perspective is shattered. Bevan also knows, but was keeping that for himself, given their predicament, that they have been drifting in an almost completely opposite direction to one which would have brought them home. Clearly everything is now dreamlike, dissonant, and that good old Viking word, awkward, turned the wrong way. What he has not yet made out is the vast crowd of baying life forms, complete with tusks and blades for teeth, blocking them from their port. Back on the island, people are getting organized. What can they do to clear a passage? It is decided that their stock of tar could be enough to open the way if used intelligently. Animals do not enjoy fire as much as humans. They run, therefore, back and forth with clumps of wood in pairs, with old beams, branches, anything they can lay their hands upon. The lighthouse keeper is back at his post, just enough away from the shore to still be accessible, and has lit an oil lamp to guide the sons of Hoose towards safety, just in case they are not successful before dusk. The wood piles up. The first layers are brushed aside by seals and such. The words are lacking now to describe the contorted, billowing mass of lives which, willingly or not, have been thrust upon this tiny beach. However, once the larger planks are heaved into the piles, parallel, with a good 4 yards space between them, they get the message, and they start groaning to the side, to be replaced by others not akin to the new ways. Dick and Armitage have seen the lights and are now close enough to understand their predicament, albeit utterly bewildered by the rest. Ellis Williams sits upon a stone wall observing all of this and recites words in Welsh, a language of which, for all he knows, he and his wife are the only remaining speakers. He mumbles, Ar hyd ar fordir wrth i'r llead arwain, cafwelwyr forwyn yn galw'r gwir yw'r thi, a'r cyntaf sy'n cyrraedd ar lan y môr yn ryfedd, cergair ienw arnynt fôl. This roughly translates as, as I crawl towards the coast, striking forward with the moon, she's waiting at the cliffs, waiting suitors to her home. and as the first of us arrives within a second of the shore, these rocks forever bear her name, engravings laid with gold.
"Check it all out, John," screams Bevan. "It'll bring him away from the edge."
"Aye," replies his trusted friend. They delve their bare dried until now hands into the gunge, bits, heads, bowels, scales and spines, sometimes whole fish, and almost evident but too late. It must all go. Armloads, fists full, shirts laden, hats to the brim, and this malodorous death juice is thrust overboard into the brine. True enough, flippers do begin to turn, but the seals and their whiskered kin at the back are quickly overcome by those already out of the water and making their ways onto Hoose, and who or which now turn frantically back towards Iris and this manna from hell. As the latecomers are trampled in this appalling rush to feast, they are also now consumed by arriving killer whales and other beasts larger even than these and with appetites to match. A veritable smorgasbord of horror as frenzied teeth, fangs, claws, tusks, and sheer power meet in the space between the boat and the makeshift harbour about a football field's distance ahead of them. Iris was not built to mount the shore, but to stay moored out there. This means the two will have to swim those final yards in this. Something will have to change. There is now a maelstrom in the waters and fire upon the land, but it appears utterly beyond control and isn't really helping anyone. Just then, Mrs. Armitage steps up, or rather, pushes through. First of all, she had taken a handcart and was ramming the animals with it again and again, back and forth. Once the reddened wheels fell off, she had searched for a replacement, and now she has one, with the help of the dogs. Initially, she had wondered if his horse would push the cart backwards. But Mrs. Dodds assured her that, albeit possible, this may be dangerous to both the animal and any future riders, because it could replicate that behavior in any future dangerous situation. There are no moments in which one cannot learn, so Anne Armitage is in the carriage, brandishing a pitchfork and screaming blood-curdling threats, while the Dodds and other helpers, such as the Lewises, but not the Sherlocks, push the cart forwards into the waves and between the two piles of wood. Then they bring the horse down, which pulls the carriage back out, and so on and so forth. The plan being to stop anything coming back into the path.
Again! Again!
She orders. As the boat inches closer and the cart wheels crush and macerate, the wood is now covered in tar and ignited. Anne appears as a sort of demented Boudica, lashing out with her weapon from the chariot, riding through the flames into the agonizing, whelping throngs, backwards and forwards, over and over. Dick Bevan observes, in realization, that this was exactly the dream he had had the night before they left. You know, the one that put him off drinking that day. He doesn't know how this could possibly be so, and is about to tell John when the boat lurches suddenly to one side, and he's thrown overboard and immediately sucked below the heaving surface and its attendant abominations.
He's fallen in, I've lost him!
Bevan's hand does not even have time to reach out. Straight down there. He has a moment of hesitation. Do I? No. When John turns back, he is within meters of his wife. Bevan is already buried, lamented, gone. A precipitous grief is preferable to one which will endanger a whole life. Anne withdraws the cart one last time and John jumps into the water. In a few steps he's back in Hoose. Iris is at once engulfed by ocean life and by fire. As he embraces his wife dangerously close to the infernal edge of the known world, clambering over the cart like a wounded water rat, there is a new rumbling. Nothing close to the terror of some hours ago, but given everyone's state of constant nervousness, they all flatten themselves upon the ground. Apart from the Armitages. More fool them, as the source of the din is beneath their feet. The shore, which had survived the initial incident, and all that came, is no longer able to sustain the weight and trembling of all that was upon it. The writhing skirmishes and the chariots and this couple are the straw which breaks its back, and in a cracking flash and then a draining sludgy lament, it all breaks off and sinks into the deep, leaving them inches from death. I was so worried. I thought he hesitates. I would never see you again. Then,
Body!
it is Ben. He's waving from Grove Place, where a small pond or marsh of sorts exists between the trees, and where children used to play, when play was still a thing. Lewis, Dodds, Armitage, Bird, Williams, and even Sherlock have all gathered swiftly. Bevan is still in his lighthouse, now upon a rocky outcrop just away from the land. Grace is nowhere to be seen, nor is Jenny Bird. Ben is pointing down into the water.
Body!
And he's right. There is. The body of Dick Bevan floating in an upright position. Before they can wonder how he washed inland, underland, and into this pond so fast, before they can even be a little sad, even given that they may wish to be such, or are still capable of this now, another call comes, and like a spoon of Ayer's cherry pectoral, erases all these other thoughts. Bill Bevan is shouting his lungs out from the top of the stranded islet lighthouse.
Land ahoy!
Ben drags the body out alone and turns him on his side. The others congregate together, and they all see what appears to be a vast new continent heading towards them.